So Boruto episode 2 came out, and before I even touch the episode, I just want to make sure that we're clear on something, because I know this review and also the past review for Boruto has come out later. I've uploaded it later than usual, at least in terms of my uploading schedule, and that has nothing to do with me being lazy. It has nothing to do with my feelings towards the show in general, which I'll admit I'm still in that adjustment phase in terms of like the show. If you notice, just based off of this episode as well, you can notice a serious change in tone. You can obviously see that this is a show that's geared more towards a younger audience. Just by, I mean, look at the opening and the ending. Look at the colors. Look at the songs. I'll admit there are moments where I'm watching the show and I'm like, dang, like I feel old as hell. I feel, oh, look at my beard. Naruto nostalgia is just too strong, so I can't withstand it. Alright, so I'm just sitting here watching the story of Boruto. Basically, I made my schedule in the beginning of the semester so that I would have Thursday mornings off, so that I could do One Piece and Naruto Shippuden. However, Shippuden ended, and they changed the schedule for Boruto for Wednesdays. So now it's kind of like, oh, well, that throws it off, because I'm busy on Wednesday mornings. So that's basically the reason, alright? I'm just putting it out there, just letting you guys know. Anyway, this episode starts off, I thought it was funny that it starts off with like a narration from Shino saying like, a couple of years back, this academy, this ninja academy, just helped ninjas, learn ninja skills. That's what we taught in this academy, but now it's an actual school. We teach them academic subjects. And I think that's funny because it means that at one point a social worker or an evaluator just walked into the academy and found out that they weren't teaching like normal school subjects at the academy. So he's like, wait a second, do you mean all these ninjas are just, they're good at fighting, but they're stupid? And some of them aren't even that good at fighting? The school needed to be a more well-rounded academy, because some of them were flunking math, history, and political science. So they changed the curriculum, and that's what Shino explains. And that's a good intro point to this episode, because that's really what's the main, I guess, like the issue of conflict. There's this new character called Iwabe. Is it Iwabe or Iwabi? I'm gonna call him Iwabe. But yeah, he's like one of the characters that really stood out to me in the initial like first episode that I noticed. I was like, wow, this guy, because he seems a lot older too, and it's like, oh, this episode explains. It's because he hasn't been able to pass the class. He's like the guy who's been repeating the year over and over again. And so this episode just kind of resolves that issue, at least in terms of his motivation, because he thinks that strength is everything for a shinobi. What he means by strength is, learning how to use ninjutsu and applying it and learning how to fight. Which, let's be honest, all right, considering that we know where this story is headed, it's going to end with Boruto versus Kawaki. Yeah, that is really true. I mean, in the world of ninja, it's really, because this is an action show. It's an action-packed adventure of ninjas fighting each other. So obviously there's going to be a lot of emphasis in that. So it's kind of like, it's a contradiction for the show to push the message of like, no, academics matter, where in fact it's like we've seen that that's not really the case. This is a shonen, so nobody's going to tune in to watch like Boruto pass his art history exam, you know what I mean? So that's how the message initially starts as. Like, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's a bully because he's flunking all his classes, but at the end of the day, when you finish the episode, oh, it really wasn't really about like highlighting academics to the point where it's like a contradiction. It's more about like highlighting the importance of not making excuses for yourself and tackling your issues head on. That's what I got out of it, at least, to the point where like it even made me think about, wait, is this going to be like a Full House type of series where every week we get a brand new lesson, a brand new moral from the show? Today's episode of Boruto is brought to you by the value of honesty. Oh no. No, see, this is what I'm saying. Like, the show makes me feel old. That's not really on the show, because the show has always been geared to, it knows what audience it's trying to appeal to, all right? The show didn't get older, but that's not its fault. I got older, but getting older is a part of life. Now, in the beginning of the episode, Boruto walks into his classroom at the academy, and we find out that he's not really socially accepted. Not a whole lot of people like him. Okay, which is very, very different to Naruto's situation when he was growing up, because in Boruto's case, people don't like him because there was something that marked him that that was out of Boruto's control. Boruto had no choice in the matter, but people perceived him negatively because of that thing. In Boruto's case, it's the fact that he's the son of the Hokage. In Naruto's case, it's the fact that he had the Nine Tails inside of him. So they're very, very, very different things, okay? I just need you to understand how different those things are. And the best way for me to show you how different those things are is by telling you that they're different. Boruto is not like Naruto. He is different because he is different. And yes, I'll admit to the fact that I was just being a dick. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's move on. But anyway, Ino-jin in this episode, I kind of liked like the personality that he showcased in this episode, because it's like, you know, you're the Hokage's son, but you don't really impress me. I don't have a reason to trust you. And then by the end, it's like, oh no, he's actually standing up for his friend. That's kind of cool. And then he calls those kids out. So I like the fact that that's a part of this whole thing, because it's kind of like, if this were like another school, I can just imagine like a lot of people just like treating Boruto differently. Like, oh, you're the son of the celebrity, so of course you're gonna get special treatment. But I'm gonna try and become your friend because you're special. And in this case, you know, the kids, because I think a lot of it has to do with their code of ethics. Ino-jin is like, no, you need to prove to me that you're worth it. And by the end, he does, and that kind of changes his perspective on Boruto. So I thought that was really cool. The fight, first of all, did it take place in the same arena where they held the Chunin exams? Because I saw the jutsu pose, or like the hand pose, and I was like, oh, you know, again, Naruto nostalgia. Naruto versus Iwabe, a lot of hand-to-hand, a lot of basic, you know, shuriken throwing and, you know, dodging, shadow clone jutsu. There's this one specific attack or move that Boruto pulls. Yeah, I'm calling it Naruto. It's like that Boruto pulls on Iwabe, where Iwabe blocks his first attack, but then he counters it in midair with another punch. And that, I'm pretty sure that's a move from Sasuke that he did with Kakashi when they were trying to retrieve the bells. I think. I guarantee I've seen Sasuke do this move somewhere. So yeah, this show really wants you to sit down and watch it and be like, oh, I remember that. I remember. Do you? I remember. Yeah, we're all fans here. We remember. Let's feel together how much we remember. You know what? As long as it doesn't exploit that, then it's fine. I think it'll be fine if it doesn't exploit it. Because the problem with, like, you know, draining the nostalgia well is that eventually, and especially because it's so soon after Naruto has ended, like, for example, like Dragon Ball, all right? Dragon Ball Super came out like years and years and years after Dragon Ball Z and GT had gone off the air. But this is very soon. And, you know, it's been a while since, like, the first part of Naruto ended, but I think a lot of it is still fresh in a lot of people's memories. So when you drain that well, you run the risk of, like, it not having the same effect on people if you do it too often. And so I just hope that that's something the show avoids. That being said, I thought the fight was really entertaining. It's obvious that Boruto has a lot of control and mastery over his Shadow Clone Jutsu. I like how he just, you know, because it's always cool, like, when you just think that that's, like, the actual character, and it just, poof, it's just like another Shadow Clone. So he did that jutsu when he was running around those pillars. Wabe was trying to counter that by using sub and also camouflage. It didn't work, but, you know, it was a good exchange, pretty decent. And then he takes the staff, and I was actually curious about it, because in the beginning he did kind of nerf himself. He's like, if I use this staff on you, you're dead. Like, I'm gonna kill you. So that speaks about his character, the fact that he was able to self-regulate, you know, be like, I'm not gonna use this because this is way too much. But then by the end, he just gets desperate, and I'm like, no, you're making me look like a fool, so I might as well grab it. But then Ino-jin interferes, and we don't get to see it in action, at least not to, you know, not too much of it anyway. So I kind of wonder how the fight would have gone differently if he had used that thing to its full potential. By the way, here's a picture of Hinata acting motherly while still being cute. I also noticed that Sarada's attitude reminds me a lot of Sakura in the beginning stages, where she's like, oh, what a loser. Like, Boruto's such a loser. I really like Chocho. Chocho is like a breath of fresh air for me every time she talks. You know? We actually do get to see an ending in this episode, the first time we've seen it, because remember last time we just had the credits, and there's a scene in it specifically that reminds me of an opening from One Piece. Basically the Straw Hats are just running, and you see in the background all these people they've met, you know, people that were relevant in the story at some point, and just the friends that they've made. And it's the exact same thing here with the silhouettes as they run through, like, you know, a lot of the characters that we know and love. And I mentioned last week how, like, with Boruto awakening that new eye in the previous episode that kind of messes up the chronology of Boruto the movie in terms of like how are you going to explain that he actually had that in Boruto the movie but never used it. And I think it's the same thing with these characters. It's like, where were these characters in the movie? And you know, it's gonna come down to them saying, well, you know what, we just didn't have them planned at that point in time. In fact, I'm willing to bet that maybe when they were producing the movie, they really thought that that was going to be the end of anything Naruto related. So yeah, unless you just kill off these characters, or you just say, yeah, they went off on this mission during Boruto the movie and then they came back. So tell me what do you think is going to happen with that? Comment down below your thoughts about the episode. Like the video if you did, I appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks. Bye.